everybody. It is a special Wednesday night edition of Thrifty Business with Jay and Nay. I'm your West Coast host, Vegas Jay.
And I'm your East Coast host, Philly Nay.
What's happening, Nay?
Nothing. It's 9 o'clock here.
6 o'clock on the West Coast, on the best coast, baby. New thing we're going to be doing from this moment on is if you're just tuning in at the top of the show, we're going to give you a highlight of who's on the show. So just in case you're new, so tonight our guest is Randy Tyrell, and Randy is a fan, a friend, a viewer north of the 49th parallel. That means he lives in Canada. So we're going to be talking all things Canadian tonight, the trials and tribulations of being an online seller in Canada. We're going to talk about his successes, his duds, and shipping, because shipping is a big deal to our Canadian viewers. So I wanted to give you a heads up, and that is what our show is going to be about tonight, plus our usual scores, duds, tips, tricks, shenanigans, rum. Hey, speaking of rum, let's get right to it, shall we?
Sure.
It's time for Jay's Tiki Talk, and I've been kind of doing this recently, trying to put the rum and the mug with the guest, kind of matching them up. All right, so tonight our rum is Havana Club Añejo Blanco, and you're going to say to yourself, hey, Jay, that's not Canadian. Nope, it's Cuban, but guess where you can buy this? In Canada. So that's where this came from. And then I have one Canadian tiki mug, so here it is. Unfortunately, it's kind of small. It's kind of Canadian, kind of Eskimo, maybe a little bit of Native American. But if you Google Canadian tiki mug, more often than not, this shows up. So in honor of Randy tonight, this is what I'll be drinking from. And let me say something about Havana Club. If you've never had it, this is the perfect rum for a Cuba Libre, which is just rum, Coke, or Diet Coke in my case, and lime. Just the perfect cocktail. It is so smooth and perfect. Oh, man, just awesome. I'm going to shed a tear, I think. Hey, you picked me as a partner. What can I say?
Oh gosh.
All right, what's your drink of choice tonight, and what sippy cup are we using?
Actually, I don't have anything down here. I forgot my water.
All right. Well, then
so
let's
have nothing.
All right. Well, let's get right to it then. Nay's breast cancer update and fact of the week.
Okay, so today we had a blizzard, crazy snowstorm over the weekend. So I had an oncologist appointment yesterday, and I had another appointment on Monday, and I had to cancel them. So everything got rescheduled for today. So I had this marathon, crazy doctor's appointment day, which I'm used to. I've had those before today. Anyway, the good news is that I had my stitches taken out from my last week's minor surgery, my in-office surgery, yeah, so that was good. And I'm healing properly, and everything's great. And I got some of my restrictions taken off from my big surgery today. I'm able to walk the dog. I'm able to lift up to 5 pounds. I'm able to vacuum and drive and do some things that I wasn't able to do before, so that's a good thing. I've been feeling so-so. My medicine does affect me a lot. I have the nausea, the muscle aches, all the great symptoms, but they come and go. It's not an everyday thing. So some mornings I'll wake up and I'll be like, wow, I feel pretty good today, and then other mornings I'll wake up and I'll feel like I've been run over by a truck. So it's kind of a day-to-day thing, but I'm doing well. My next surgery will probably be sometime mid to end March. I just found out from my surgeon today that I have a hole in my, I didn't know the rib cage went all the way up to your neck, actually. That's all considered your rib cage, and I actually have a hole that, for the squeamish, this isn't too good, but I have a big round hole right here that was apparently sawed out from my bone, and when you lose weight and you don't have any fat between your bone and your skin, it kind of sinks in there. So I do have to get that repaired. That will be my next surgery, which I just found out about today. So that has to be fixed sometime in March. So that will be the next surgery. So otherwise, I'm hanging in there.
Time for the graphic? Or is that later?
No, that's fine for now.
Okay, here it is.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
So I just wanted to thank everyone. I've been getting a lot of messages, a lot of really great encouragement, support. I feel so loved. Donations to the National Breast Cancer Foundation for the upcoming fundraiser for the Breathing Room Foundation, which is another breast cancer foundation that's been really, really terrific personally to myself and my family. So I really appreciate everything. I've been getting gifts in the mail, and I just wanted everyone to know that I have gotten everything in the mail. I've gotten all of the messages, and I'm so sorry. It's kind of embarrassing. I'm usually really good with thank yous, but it's just been a little overwhelming, so I'm a little backed up. I probably have about 100 messages to get to right now. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate everything, and I love everyone for all of the encouragement and support.
Very good. And now it's time for our scores of the week. And because of Blizzard and all kinds of other extenuating circumstances, Nate does not have any scores this week.
No.
So I will share 3 this week. And as I figure out what I do with my screen. Too many screens this week. There we go. All right, so my first score is also going to be a bonus tip, so pay attention. Get your pen and paper. You can't sell stuff if it isn't listed, and somehow this fell off my listings, and the second I realized and relisted it, boom, it sold for $30. But what I really wanted to point out was, look how awesome that looks on a black background. Mm-hmm. I see people use, I use what's called photo gray cloth backdrop. That's great for most stuff, but when you're doing something super light or super white, man, you get that black cloth, man, that sucker just pops. And trust me, no one else is doing that. When you're done watching the show tonight, go look at Blue Moon Taps, look at the solds, look at mine compared to everybody else's. They're horribly boring and not quality. Same thing. This was another one that had fallen off. I relisted it and sold it within like 30 minutes for $50. I mean, I don't think it's a big score to tell people to go look for Michael Jordan jerseys, but just wanted to show you that, hey, when you list stuff, it sells. I know that's an amazing feat, but here's my true score to share. If you can find this Blue Hawaiians CD, it's called Live at the Lava Lounge. I paid $5 at a CD store that knows what they're doing, and I sold it for $90.
Wow.
And I routinely sell this anywhere from $75 to $100 when I find it, and I probably find 4 or 5 a year. And they're usually, I pick them up usually for $5 to $9. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And they have other CDs that are rare too. Only one CD isn't rare. So if you find any Blue Hawaiians, do a quick search on your Amazon app, and you might find a sweet, sweet score to put some nice chunk of change in your pocket. So keep that in mind. Blue Hawaiians on CD. We had our scores, but with our scores, we always have our... our dud of the week. And mine is gonna look it's gonna look like it's not much of a dud. You know, it's that weird eBay glitch. They don't show you the right sold price, but trust me when I tell you what I sold this for and how long I've had it listed. And here, and then there's even a duddier part to it. This is Disneyland Grizzly River Run. So man, it's cool. It's a tie-dye, and it's a ride at Disneyland, and it's got Mickey, Goofy, and Donald. How is that not a winner? It was listed for 2.5 years, and I was happy to take $10 for it. But here's where it's more of a dud. I bought 2.
Oh no!
So I still have yet another one. So that's my dud. All right, let's hop over to your dud, which is these little cows.
The cows. Yes, I've had those listed for a couple of years too. And as I'm going through everything after the flood, it's kind of a good thing. I mean, it's a horrible thing, but it's a good thing because as I go through bin by bin, I'm actually getting stuff organized. I have about 143 out of 900 old listings back up right now, which is, I need to make a little better progress. Obviously, I'm not selling things as fast as I need to. So, but these 3 cows I've had listed for a couple of years. I do have them. They're back in my inventory, but I think they might end up being a donate. They're so cute, but they just won't go. So.
Real quick, people are asking about the ads they saw at the top of the show. Nadine and I love doing this show, but what more do we love than doing the show? We need to make a little bit of money, and so we partnered with a company, and that was our new thing, that this company's going to help us grow to be bigger than we are, bring in more viewers. And if you don't know, when you have videos on YouTube, you kind of get paid per view. It's It's a really small shoot. It's a really small pay-per-view, but the more views, it does add up, and I'm splitting the proceeds with 50-50 with Nay. And so you're going to see a commercial at the top of the show from now on. That's just part of it. That's how YouTube makes money. That's how we'll make some money. So just bear with us. But they have a lot of cool toys at this company that I'll be able to use. So we're going to be doing some other videos. We'll be enhancing them and stuff. So that's why. So just want to let you guys know that. That's the only reason that that's going on. I'm sorry. Were you done? I'm sorry. I just started rambling.
I was.
Okay, sorry, okay. Nate. All of a sudden I thought,
we're good.
Crap, did she finish?
Yeah, I did. I'm good. I'm good. You're good.
I got so involved in reading the chat and wanting to answer. I was like, where are we?
I know. I saw that too. It's good.
Speaking of, where are we? It is Close Encounters of the Thrifty Kind. All right, so, our show is one day earlier because Nate has something to do tomorrow night, and about 1 o'clock I'm like, oh, crap, I don't got a thrifty tip or a close encounter. I'm going to go wander around the Goodwill down the street from my house, and boom, I had both those within 2 minutes. So here is my close encounter, and there is a picture. So my thrifty tip, we should have done these backwards because my thrifty tip will play into my close encounter, but I'll show you my close encounter. It is this gentleman right here who, as you can tell, will probably not move too fast. Here we go. Yeah, he sat in that chair with that walker for the entire time I was in the store, and he had no aspirations of getting up and moving, and I needed to do something where he was that was kind of sneaky, and I'll explain in my thrifty tip, but unwittingly, he was my thrifty encounter today because he wasn't going nowhere, damn it. But
he liked his chair.
Yeah, you'll understand in a minute. So I'm going to throw it over to Nate, and then we'll get to the thrifty tip.
Okay. So I have not been thrifting lately. Obviously, I've been, not only do we have a big blizzard here in Philadelphia, but then we had, I've had these doctor's appointments. I've had the kids having no school for a couple days. I had my minor surgery last week, so I'm not going anywhere near a thrift store. So today I thought I had some time in between two of my doctor's appointments, and I thought, I'm going to stop in and see if I can find, just get a thrifty encounter, just browse around for a couple minutes. Darn it, the thrift store was closed. I assume because of the weather, although a lot of our snow has melted. But so I had to come up with one, and I'm thinking back to everything that's happened, and I thought about, it was a few months ago. I did think of one back a few months ago in my brain. This woman was behind me in line, and I was going to pay with cash, and I was like $1 short. So I went to give the cash, and I was like, oh, darn. And I went to whip out my bank card, and she was like, oh, you're only $1 short. Here's your $1. So she just handed me the $1, and I was like, oh, my goodness, you don't have to do that. Thank you so much. And she's like, oh, it's no problem. The point is, if I will pay it forward. If I'm ever behind someone in the line who's just a little bit short, I'll give them the $1 or the couple of dollars to get to the correct amount that they need. So it was a very nice thing.
So yours is all nice, and mine's like, hey, old man with a walker, get the hell out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's get to it so it makes sense now. So our thrifty tips of the week. All right, so here's the deal. Like I said, I needed two segments today, and so I walked around, and my real thrifty tip is, if it is sale day and it's a small thrift store, do not go in the middle of the day. Here is the line that's stretched all the way from the front of the store, and it curled around the back. Come on. I just lost my mouse. Hello. There we go. Here it is. Yeah, that is a lot of people, and that line never ended. So I was just looking around looking for inspiration, and I found something awesome that I really wanted to buy. So here's what it was. Somebody's painting of, they said for a portrait painting. 1950s got to be. People in the mid-century modern community would love this picture. I love it. And
that's great.
I did not have the time nor the inclination to wait in that line, so I'm like, I'm going to do something I have never done before. I hid something. I've had other friends do it, so I gave it a whirl today. I'm going to go back at opening tomorrow. So the thrifty encounter was that guy sitting there. Is it this picture? Yes. So right to next to him, hanging on the wall, is the big, ugly piece of art from the 80s that would have been over your white leather couch. And it was so deep, I could have stuck that picture behind it and in it. So unless somebody bought that time, nobody would notice, but I couldn't do it in front of him. So here's what I did. It's not as exciting. I went to the I probably have these backwards. Yes. So here's the big artwork. So oops, wrong one. Sorry. I pulled it back. It's the last thing in that pile. So I'm shooting for it to be there tomorrow morning at opening.
Good luck.
Because I absolutely love this.
So, if you're like me, I always find people's hidden stuff on the sale days. So.
Yep. So my tip is don't go during sale day and give it a whirl. I'll let you guys know next week if it was still hidden.
Yeah, that'll be good.
My friends have done it. I have never done it, and I only did it because I had to get the show prepped, and I could not stand that line for at least an hour.
I wouldn't have waited. Yeah.
And it never moved. It never moved. All right, so we've done all that, and now it's time for You Have Got to Be Shipping Me, where we talk about shipping tips. I usually have a not what to do. I just realized mine's in the hallway, so of course I'm gonna throw it to Nate first.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go get my tip.
Well, you have pictures for me. Uh-oh. So he's supposed to put up pictures for me. Obviously he's in his hallway, so he doesn't have those. So I'm just gonna give a big shout out to Mark and Robin from Bubble Fast because this week they sent me a huge box, which Jay is supposed to get the picture of supplies, of shipping supplies. There was bubble wrap, and there were poly mailers, and all sorts of.
I got yelled at from downstairs. She needs her picture.
Yes, I have 2 pictures for this segment.
Sorry.
So now that you've walked away, So the first picture.
Hang on, I'm getting.
Yeah. So the first picture on Friday night before the blizzard, we had this big, huge blizzard over the weekend, which a lot of the snow thankfully has melted, or some of it at least. So on Friday night, right before the blizzard, we had this odd doorbell ring at like 8 o'clock, and it was the USPS guy, the post office delivery guy, and I was like, what? You know, it's really late. So he has this huge box. And it's all wrapped in eBay tape, and all of that stuff was in it. It was everything I needed for shipping, which I'm so grateful for. Some of you might have heard I had the flood on Christmas Eve, and you know, with the cancer and the surgery and everything, it's just been such a setback. You know, I haven't had the financial means to resupply all of my shipping needs. So I have everything I need, and let me tell you, Bubble Fast, not only do they offer the poly mailers and the bubble wrap and everything, I know now, like, you know, firsthand, everything is top-notch quality. It's you know, like the poly mailers, you're not going to stick your finger through them and just, you know, come out the other side. Everything is top-notch quality. So, and then the other photo that Jason has, I came home from my doctor's appointment. That's not the photo.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting there.
No. Okay, he's getting there. So
there
yeah, that's the picture. So, so today I came home from my doctor's appointments. I had 3 back-to-back doctor's appointments today, and I came home. I had like a little slot of time between coming home and having to pick up the kids. And I come home, and there's 2 huge bags of peanuts on my front step. So I was shocked and surprised, and it was from Mark and Robin again, and they sent me 2 huge bags of packing peanuts, which I really needed to. I wasn't expecting anything else. They sent me enough already, so I am thrilled. I have all of my shipping supplies restocked thanks to Bubble Fast. So please, guys, shop on bubblefast.com. Buy all of your shipping supplies from them. They're not only a great business with great quality, they'll ship to you fast. It's excellent customer service, but they're also a business with a big heart. So in these days, you know, it's important to buy from smaller businesses like that. So, you know, please buy your shipping supplies from them, and you won't be disappointed. And thank you, Mark and Robin.
Yeah, and I want to add a little tip about that because somebody was asking in the chat if their poly mailers are durable. So their poly mailers,
Mhm.
I mailed a shirt to Dubai on July 3rd many years ago, and I got it out real quick because here, obviously, July 4th is a holiday. I wanted to get it rolling. On July 4th, he emailed me and said, "Oh crap, that was my old address." And I said, "Oh, so sorry because of the holiday. I wanted to get it out to you." He said, "No worries, my bad. If you ever see it, let me know." About a month later, it showed up, and it was just a shirt I shipped on a poly mailer. It came back a month later. It was still in this poly mailer, had not been punctured.
Mhm.
It went around the world. So yay postal service and yay poly mailers. Very nice and durable.
Yep. I'm serious when I say I have bought poly mailers prior to this off of eBay, and let me tell you, Bubble Fast ones that I just received are honestly, I'm not just making that up. They're thicker, they're better quality. So, and
And the code for the
they're less
discount,
expensive.
somebody's asking for the code for the discount. It is
Mhm.
J and Nay. One word, JAYANDNAY. All right, here we go. And now it is time for the viewer's 2-minute topic of the week. And this week it was submitted by Debbie Weeder. Thank you, Debbie. Yay! Which do you prefer and why? Listing mobile, a third-party listing service, or directly on eBay? And I have not a clue where the hell my phone is. So you're not going to see the timer tonight. You're just going to get buzzed, okay? All right, so you're going to be off and running, and here you go.
Okay.
So sorry, everyone. Okay, go.
All right. So I have always been a big mobile listing fan. It's saved me a lot of time because I have 3 kids. I have a very active lifestyle. When I was working full time before I got cancer and everything happened, it was really helpful, and it still is. I still have to watch my kids. I still get really tired. I'm stuck upstairs a lot. So it's really helpful. There's some things about the mobile app that I wish were improved, but basically it's really helpful. And you can also, like Jay was pointing out to me today while I was sitting in the waiting room at one of my doctor's appointments, you can actually list drafts, do listings, when you're sitting in the doctor's waiting room anytime at all. However, I do also list on my computer. I have a Mac at home, and I do like to Photoshop some of my better photos for some of my better listings, like to knock out the background, make them look a little better. So I do that for some of my listings, but for the majority of my listings, mobile works great, and I'm very thankful for it, again, because it's mobile.
So that's one for you and one for me. I didn't do my shipping segment. I'm getting yelled at by my wife left and right. And you didn't even say, "Hey, where's your shipping segment, Jay?"
You know what? You were all
I know. I thought
I'm
I was
not even
prepared tonight. Okay.
Thank you, Stacy.
I'll do this, and I'll go back to shipping. All right, here we go. Timer's going. I almost exclusively use a third-party lister. I like it, and here's why I like it. I use InkFrog, and you pay a monthly fee, and I think I pay $20 a month, and they store every listing, every photo I've ever uploaded forever. So currently, I have 48,000 photos and about 15,000 listings, give or take. And when you're a thrifter, you tend to find the same stuff over and over. So if I found the Crypt Keeper once and I found him again, and he looks the same condition, it'll be just as easy to go that listing. Maybe I got to update the shipping because we just had shipping charges changed. But that's why I like a third-party lister. However, I do easy small stuff like postcards, CDs, cassettes. On mobile, just lay on the couch. It's so easy. Picture front and back, quick description, off we go. So I do use mobile from time to time. I rarely use the eBay lister. Okay, let's rewind and let me do my shipping tip. Here's what not to do.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, I wasn't even drinking earlier. What the hell? Okay, sold this sweatshirt. It did not fit right. I have enrolled in no hassle-free returns. Easy to return it. When I shipped this sweatshirt, I shipped it in this poly mailer. So the tip is pay attention to what your when you get something shipped to you, how it came. So he decided to send it back in a box. Okay, that's fine. No big deal. And the box he chose to send it back into was a what we call a shoebox, which it would have fit just fine and would have had extra space. But here's what he did. For some unknown reason, he Frankenstein 2 shoeboxes together, so the box was this big for this. I don't understand why he went through all that effort and time. Plus, there are boxes that are actually about this big. You don't need to Frankenstein these 2 together. Plus, it would have fit in one. So I don't know what was happening there. My, oh my. So pay attention.
Yes.
Yeah, pay attention to how your stuff shows up at your house. In case you have to return it, you should return it just about the same way. Alrighty, what did we decide to do for the sound effect, Nay? I don't even remember now.
Oh my goodness, you had this little, like, cute little sound effect that was all kind of...
Oh, I got it. Okay, time for a new segment. That's why I was a little confused. Like, what was our sound effect? Here we go!
Okay, we're good? I think that was it.
Yeah, that was it. A little loud. Oh, much better. Jay and Nay's Trendy Bolos. And what we're talking about here, this will be a segment we'll do once a month. What we're talking about here is things that are hot for that moment, and you got to capitalize. And I would like to, because of that picture, I want to stop real quick, and I want to thank all the lifeguards at the thrifting board because they all a wonderful gift, these awesome sunglasses. Now, I have a crooked, broken nose, and sunglasses do not fit my face too normally. Don't fit too well normally. Thank you to my lifeguards. I love these. I cannot wait for summertime. All right. Let's talk about the Trendy Bolos. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about is going to be a little controversial, and I know I'm going to get some hate mail, but that's just the way life is nowadays. It's the times we live in. When someone famous dies, that is when people want to buy the stuff from that person. It lasted the longest with Michael Jackson, and so there is a very much of an arc. So when somebody dies, the way people mourn is they go buy something from them. They forgot how cool Thriller was. So we lost one of the greatest musical artists of all time a little over a week ago, or 2 weeks ago now, David Bowie. And at the time, I had a ton of import CDs on Amazon. I quickly added them to eBay, same price, both places, and they all sold on eBay. So people mourning weren't looking on Amazon, they were looking on eBay. And what will happen, too, is if it's things you want to keep, that price will come back to where it was. There'll be a spike, and you ride that wave. And before I get hate mail, every TV show, news program leads with it, every entertainment show. That's how they're paying the bills. They're talking about David Bowie's death. That's how I pay my bills. I know when to hit the mark. And so just to show you, here's the David Bowie stuff I sold. And I had picked up Low and Tonight and Heroes and Diamond Dogs for $8 each. I sold Diamond Dogs for $40. I sold Heroes for $40. Tonight for $20 and Low for $32. Plus, I also had a 30th anniversary edition of Ziggy Stardust, which, if you look, I misspelled, and it's still sold for $20. Ziggy Stardust.
Yes.
And I also had the Super Bit DVD collection of Labyrinth, which is one of the most awesome movies of all time. But that is the Trendy Bolo. When someone passes who's very famous or even somewhat famous, if you got something to sell, there'll never be a better time than right that moment.
And I am sad about David Bowie's passing.
Yeah, a lot of famous people have died lately, and that one actually, I felt it in my chest.
Yeah, that's really sad. Yes, I agree.
But that feeling didn't stop me from making money. I can pay my bills.
So I've heard in the UK actually, where he was originally from, it's actually pronounced Bowie and not Bowie.
Well, they may pronounce it Bowie, but he named himself after the Bowie knife, and I think it's Jim Bowie. But
okay, he called his daughter Zowie and not Zoe, though.
It was son, actually. He changed his name to Duncan.
Now I'm really looking at it. Okay.
All right, let's get to your
pop culture knowledge. Yes, okay.
All right, there we go.
So my thrifty tip is to check out actually my bolo, my new segment bolo, is leopard print. You should always check out, what's currently trending. Right now for fall 2016, leopard print, although it's always been in, it's actually making a big comeback. And so it's kind of a timeless thing, but if you're searching, especially for obviously women's clothing, purchase anything that's in good shape that's leopard print, regardless of the brand, because it is going to be big this fall. And this was this is actually courtesy of Elle magazine. That's a big fashion magazine for those of you who don't know. So there you go. That's some of the top designers for fall 2016 that are highlighted in that photo. Uh-oh.
Sorry. I muted myself. My bad.
Okay. I'm glad.
I was making a cocktail. Rich and Nyla want to know if you got a fruit bucket from the Chicago group.
I sure did, and thank you so much, Rich and Nyla. I've been really behind on my messages, but my kids and I really enjoyed it, and it was beautiful. At first I didn't even want to touch it. I took all kinds of pictures of it. I took pictures like from every angle. I was like, taking it sideways, backwards, and top. So anyway, it was so beautiful. And my kids especially enjoy the chocolate-covered strawberries and the chocolate pineapples. And I loved everything. So it was perfect for the family. So thank you so much, guys. And I apologize for not thanking you sooner, by the way. I'm just really behind on my messages right now. But thank you so much. It was absolutely amazing.
We haven't done this in a while. I know we have some new viewers, so this is called the Catnap Corner. Which cat is on Nay's steps? Is it Milo? Could it be Phoebe? I don't know. Half pint? Almost never. Who do we got back there today? Oh, I see Milo being a big fat cat sleeping there.
Just Milo. He's always on the steps, yes.
Yeah.
Phoebe's actually behind me. You guys can't see her, but she's kind of like stretching out and lounging behind me. But I think your buddy Half Pint's somewhere upstairs.
Cool. So I hope you guys loved our new segment. We're gonna, like I said, we'll do that segment again 1 month from today. So we've added 4 new segments, and so those will repeat once a month. And shall we get to our guest? Because I know we got people tuned in because this is an often discussed topic. So let's get to it. What do you say?
I think we're ready for our guest.
All right. Our guest tonight is Randy Tyrrell, and Randy lives in Canada, north of the 49th parallel, and he has been a friend in the group, and he has always been a great seller and one to always help, and always has some great stories, and somehow he does it. And that's the thing. The reason I wanted him on, he does it with some success, and we hear a lot of people who have problems when you live in Canada and you're an online seller, and I know the shipping's a big one, but that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
So I want to say in the chat, our good friend and my fellow lifeguard, Christine, is also a Canadian, and I hear a lot about the trials and tribulations of being a Canadian seller through Christine. So I'm really excited to have Randy on tonight. So just wanted you guys to know that Christine is in the same shoes right now. So
what's happening, Randy?
Hey, good evening, guys. Thanks for having me on. Bonsoir, Christine. Good to see that you're in the chat as well. Thanks to Jay for that lovely graphic that he pulled off my Facebook page. I'm actually wearing the same lei tonight, and I'm also wearing the only real Hawaiian shirt that I've managed to find and still have from a thrift store in the Great White North. We don't really get a lot of Hawaiian stuff up here. We get different types of items that you probably don't get in Vegas or Philly, but we don't get much in the way of tiki mugs or Hawaiian shirts.
That's so sad. That makes me sad.
Well, I saw your Canadian tiki mug earlier, so this is as close as I could get. This is for those of you who don't follow hockey. This is the Vancouver Canucks.
Well, cheers to you, Randy. Thanks for coming on.
And I also have a real drink, so I guess I'm double fisting to make up for Jay.
It's a man from my own heart.
Well, it's cold up here, we need to do something to keep warm.
Now, did you get the snow that like the East Coast got, or just
Not as
normal?
bad, actually. I mean, we have had snows like that in the past, and I used to live further up north, so I'm used to much colder weather and big snowfalls at times. But we've actually gotten off pretty easy this year. We had a green Christmas. We really didn't have any snow until I think it was about the second week or so of January, and it really hadn't even been cold until then either. It was almost tropical compared to what Washington and New York and those places have.
Tropical in Canada in
Yeah,
January.
it's been cold here in
Relatively.
Philly.
No, if it's hovering around freezing, that's warm for us.
Yeah, it was. My car said 5 degrees today, but it felt a little bit warmer than that, so I'm not quite
Yeah.
sure. But
I was chilly at
cold.
65 today.
Oh my goodness.
Poor guy. How did you
I
survive?
wish our snow would have all melted.
Well, when it gets that cold, you just jump on your moose and you go to the
Well, it got real Canadian right there. Holy cow.
Yeah, we keep them in the backyard.
All
No,
right,
the,
so
the only place I've ever actually seen a moose is at the zoo. I live in the city.
Yes, there's no moose in downtown Philadelphia either here. So
how long you been selling online, Randy?
So I started part-time roughly 3.5 years ago. Before that, I was going to thrift stores probably about a year or so, just buying stuff for myself and seeing what was out there. And there's actually a Value Village, or most of them in the U.S. are called Savers. It's the same company. There's one about a 5-minute walk from my front door. Which is convenient for someone who does this kind of thing. So that's still probably the one that I go to the most, and where I've found some great things over the years. But I started out part-time for about 2 years or so, and just really last year I started doing more and more. And I guess you could say the bulk of last year I was pretty much full-time reselling, and since then.
What's your normal what was your career? What's your job? What do you do? What are you? Are you a
So,
moose? Are you a moose trainer? What are you?
Occasionally, I dabble in moose training. No, I've basically been one way or the other. I've been sales marketing pretty much since I was a little kid. I worked in the recruitment industry for about 8 or 9 years, so I did a little bit of the headhunting side, but mostly I did business development and sales. I worked on events on and off since my university days, but typically, again, I end up being the guy who tries to promote the event to get people to buy tickets or sponsorships or those sorts of things. And some of the occasional consulting that I still do that isn't related to reselling is basically sales for other companies as well, if they need something promoted or sold or that sort of thing. So it's basically all sales marketing.
And where do you? Everybody's asking where exactly do you live? I mean, not your
So
street address, but just in a roundabout way, so people are knocking
who's
on
coming over? Party at Randy's place. No, I live in the north part of Toronto. For those of you who know Toronto, it's North York. The Toronto area used to be a whole bunch of small cities that at one point all got together and became the greater city of North York, or Greater Toronto Area. So there was an amalgamation a few years ago. Actually, I think it was even before I lived in Toronto. But I live in the north part of Toronto, Canada, it's the largest city in Canada, and it's also the capital of Ontario, which is our largest province. So provinces are the equivalent of states.
awesome. Randy, let me ask you. I've heard that Canadian sellers have a lot more difficulties and trials and tribulations with shipping than the U.S. sellers. That shipping is a lot more expensive in Canada. So let me just ask you, what do you do with your shipping, and how do you overcome some of those obstacles?
Sure. So yeah. Oh, I see feet in the background. So yeah, shipping in Canada tends to be expensive, assuming you want tracked and insured. Hello there. Assuming you want tracked and insured shipping, you're looking at a minimum of $15 even for a very small light package, and it goes up from there. So of course it goes by size and weight, just like in the U.S. We don't have as many options as far as things like we don't have flat rate boxes, we don't have regional boxes, we don't have padded flat rate mailer, all the stuff that you guys always talk about on these shows. So we just basically have fast, faster, and fastest, essentially. That's not what they really call them, but it's express post and priority and all these different things. But basically, I mean, you're as you mentioned, you are typically looking at a more expensive way to ship, unless you go with a very bare bones, no tracking, no insurance sort of postage, and just sort of take your chances. In that case, it's you can do it. I think it's around $8 or $9 or so for that. But generally, I mean, people want to know where their package is if there's an issue. You want to insure it if it's worth a reasonable amount of money. So you're pretty much looking at $15 and up, and it's not uncommon to be $25 or $30 for a mid-sized item, and heavier items, you know, $40, $50 sometimes. So it is relatively pricey for people who are used to, you know, I live a state over, so it's going to cost $5. So basically, what I've done when I started, I used to put a shipping charge on, and I put that shipping charge as what it actually cost me to ship. So if it was $15 or $20, that would be the shipping charge on my listing. And I started to get messages about, why are you gouging me, and you know, you're taking money from these people, and I know it costs you only $5. Why are you charging $25 to ship this? So over time, basically what I did was I raised my prices and I did free shipping. So pretty much all of my listings now, unless it's something very heavy and valuable where people expect to pay some money for shipping, you're going to see free shipping on my listings, and I just raise the price to account for it.
I love that.
Cool.
I mean, that's and you handled it right, and that's what Nay and I have seen this forever. People are like, I can't do it. Well, you figured out how to do it, and others do too. And look, I get it. Y'all need to rise up and go, screw you, Canada. Let's give us some better shipping rates. We're complaining about the change this week. I'm like, this sucks. But then I hear you, and I'm like, oh, it don't suck so bad.
Yeah, and Christine just said that a large Starbucks mug is $18 to ship. It's about probably $10 coast to coast to ship here. Even with the rate hike, so that's a big difference.
So ours didn't go up this year, but it's gone up a bunch of times over the past couple of years since I've been doing this, so they're high. And the thing with something like a Starbucks mug is, once you hit basically, I think it's is it a pound or 2 pounds equivalent? I'm trying to convert from metric to imperial.
Yeah, ours it goes at the 2 pound weight for
so it'd be around the same. Yeah, so you start at the $15, and then it goes up from there, and it tends to go $18, $20 once you hit about a couple pounds or so.
Yep.
So one of the other things that I've done is try to structure my store or focus on items that are more higher value items. So that does a couple of things. It lets me get more return on my efforts, in the sense that I'm not, shipping out 10 things, I'm shipping out one thing for the same price. But it also means that, a $15 or $20 shipping charge is not as big of a deal if you're selling something for, $80, $100, $150 versus selling, $20 or $30 items. I mean, if you look at my store, the lowest price I think I have is probably $27 or $28. And even that is only really because the exchange rate, which is one other thing we're probably going to talk about, is really good in favor of an exporter from Canada right now. At times the dollars have been at par, but right now it's 70 cents Canadian on the U.S., so it's like getting 30% bonus almost.
Okay.
So I can sell slightly lower priced, I can have more sales and that sort of thing. I put 20% off sales fairly often. But basically, I typically don't want to sell anything that's under $30, and I try to sell things that are more like 50, 100, over 100, that kind of thing.
That's fantastic that you've figured out the breaking point and how to kind of skirt around the issue, because I know that's a big obstacle for Canadian sellers. So.
Now, of course, when you're selling items in that price range, you tend to have to pay more for some of them. But I mean, you've seen examples like Jay had a pair of boots on a few months ago that I remember, and he paid, I don't remember what he paid, $50, $60, $80 or something.
I think it was even more than that, maybe. I think I paid a couple $100 for them and sold them for
I paid 2 and sold them for $5.
There you go.
You bought them for like 200, right?
Yep, 200 sold for 500. So I cleared like 200 or something like that.
Exactly.
So sometimes you do have to pay more to. Yep.
So
before this disappears, Randy, before this disappears in the chat, Kathy Glassford asks, he must know about Chit Chat Express. Do you know what that is?
Yes. So this is a good. Thanks for the segue, Kathy. So basically, there's brokerage services like Chit Chat, and that's the one I've heard about probably the most, and the one I checked out recently myself. So basically, what these companies do is for typically $1 a package, they will take your packages to the U.S. border, and they'll ship it USPS. So if you have the volume where it makes sense to do that, and you have one nearby, you can bring in your day's worth of packages, and you just pay $1 each, and you're probably going to save $5 or $10 per package shipping it that way. The thing for me is my nearest Chit Chat Express would take about 45 minutes to get there, and the same to get back. So for me to spend an hour and a half, and I typically will send out like maybe 4 or 5 packages in a day. Like I would maybe if I change my handling time to like 5 days and shipped once a week or something, it would be worth it. But to spend an hour and a half to bring in 5 packages to save probably $20 or $25, it's not really. But it is a good option for some people, and I'm looking at it potentially for international shipments, because those are, once you go outside the U.S., it's even more expensive. And I've had people request me to send them larger or heavier items in places like Europe. So I'm planning to check out Chit Chat again and services like that, and see how much I could save if I get more requests like that.
That's interesting. So for international, and maybe for some people that are a little further from the border, and also maybe ship less frequently or sell less frequently, it would be a good option.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, how close you are to the border where they have these services. Like I live in a major city. Like Toronto is the size of Chicago, so we have services here. So anything like this that pops up, we're typically going to have access to it. We're not close to the border, but they're here just because it's a good sized market. But if you're someplace close to the border and you're close to your Chit Chat or your other brokerage office, it may make sense to use something like that.
I see that. Yeah. Wow.
For me, maybe not so much.
I bought Stacy and my wife and I bought a dresser, for lack of a better term, for our bedroom. It was a $600 dresser that somebody broke 2 of the drawer pulls off on, and so the store didn't want to replace them, so we ended up getting it for $180. Great piece of furniture. Nice. We love it. It works exactly what we wanted. So last night I'm like, let's get some tiki drawer pulls because we got to replace them anyway. Couldn't find any tiki ones I liked at all, but I found octopus ones. I got a big octopus tattooed on my arm. And they came from Canada, and they must be using Chit Chat because, granted, 4 drawer pulls don't weigh much, but the shipping was only $5.
Okay, yeah.
Like $5. That's awesome. It was on Etsy, so maybe they're using that. And
they're either using that or they're just sending it bare bones without the tracking and the insurance.
Oh, could be.
Well, yeah.
So I'll report back. And somebody was asking what you sell. We're going to show some of your scores in a second.
Sure.
But I will put the link to your store down below. So after the show's over, if you guys want to check out Randy's store, maybe buy that shirt he's wearing now that it's going to be famous. It's on TV, on YouTube. But that's a good segue. Let's get into your scores because you got some cool stuff here.
Okay. Which one do we have?
So we got the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Oh, right. So this will probably segue into another topic that I know people are curious about Toronto, but this I got at a Goodwill warehouse outlet, which is now closed. And I would have paid, so they charge by the pound like all the ones in the U.S. do, so I would have paid probably 50 cents for this, and I believe I sold it for $64 shipped, $64 US, which is probably 80 some odd dollars Canadian. And the 50 cents I paid for it is probably, I don't know, 30 cents US or something like that. So a pretty good margin on that, even if you consider all your shipping and fees and all those sorts of things. I mean, those kind of things. So yeah, it's listed at $80. I think I actually took a best offer, so that should probably be crossed out by eBay and maybe show what I actually sold it for. But I think it was about $64 that sold for, and I've only been selling snapbacks and vintage hats for a few months now, and I don't remember which one I got first, but I remember seeing seeing it on some of the YouTube shows and seeing some hats sell out there, and I did the completed and sold listing search to see what was selling for the most money, and it's all 1990s stuff with huge logos. So when I saw this on a pile, I'm like, somebody's going to want that.
I definitely would have bought that, Randy, but I would have not thought that was a return on this piece.
Yeah.
I would have thought, of course I would have done my research, but I would have thought $30. But man, I love that Doughboy. I could so see a hip hop
Yeah.
kid wearing this hat.
Yeah, so when I searched for this, I searched the completeds and the actives on eBay, and there were a couple Pillsbury caps on there, but nothing that looked anything like this. The only one I found online at all, I did find one that was exactly this example, and it was on some kind of discussion board, and I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago, and they're talking about how cool it was and everything. But there's none on eBay. There was none. I couldn't find it anywhere online, so that's why I listed it as rare, and I always put rare in block caps. I know some people debate whether or not that works or not, but I think it helps, so I still do it. And I knew by having big graphics and being sort of on trend, much like your trendy polos, that I figured somebody would want it, and they did. It sat around maybe a month, I think. It didn't take that long to sell it.
I'm going to offer you on this one, nah, never mind.
Dark background?
No, well, yeah, maybe. That'd be good. But one thing you should do is cock the head of the mannequin a little bit on an angle. Everyone does this straight-on shot, and it just flattens it out. When you cock the head just a little bit, kind of like a three-quarter profile, it shows more depth in the curvature of the brim.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
This shot flattens it out, and same thing with tiki mugs. Some tiki mugs are kind of not deep, but some are very deep, and when people take the straight-on shot, it flattens them out. I turn it just a smidge, and you can see the depth, and it really stands out against your competition better.
So did you use your profile shot as a first shot then, Jay?
Yeah, so he used this one, which I would have absolutely too, because this is the better on this hat for sure. This is the great shot. So this is a unique hat because it's got crap all over it. So cool, love that. All right, let's hop over to your next one here.
Yeah.
Some game I've never seen before.
So this was one of two that I saw in the showcase at my local Value Village, the one that's a few steps from my house. Now they were in the showcase for $20 each. There's actually three of them. There's one that I looked up that wasn't really worth anything, and then there was this one and another 80s video game one that it might be on the list as well. But they were $20 each, but I had a 30% off discount card from when you drop off your donations and they give you the little stamps and that sort of thing. So I think I paid probably whatever that works out to, $16 or so plus tax. And I looked them up and I took a quick look inside, and it seemed like there were a lot of pieces in there. I didn't check through to see if absolutely everything was there. And once I got it home, there was a couple small pieces that weren't that important that were missing, but it sold anyway, and it actually sold in Canada, so my shipping was cheap.
Nice. Bonus.
Yeah, so it's obviously based on the Mario Brothers board. Oh, right, this is the other one, Zelda. So this is the expensive one.
Yeah.
So this has been on eBay at times, but when I listed it, it was the only one on eBay. And someone out there, when I did the research, has actually taken the trouble to recreate this game from scratch. And because they can't find it very often online, and people wanted this game, that someone actually took the time to print out and color and make a knockoff of this game for people who wanted it and put it online. But this one has gone anywhere from $100 to $200 depending on condition and completeness and that sort of thing. So you see the manual in one of those shots, or a couple of those shots. It was missing the manual, so what I actually did, and I learned this from Chad, who was last week's guest, is I found a PDF version online and just printed it out so that people would know how to play the game. So I listed it at 160 best offer, and I think it was 115 or 125, something like that. And it was the same buyer that took the Super Mario Brothers game. So I actually packaged them together. So my total shipping, I think, was probably $10 or $15 on both these games together, because it wasn't going that far from Toronto. So the person was thrilled to have them.
Let me just say, too, that as Chad pointed out, you are able, if you own the item, you are able to print out the manual or supplement to go with the item.
Right.
If you don't own it, you can't just sell the manual.
Right. Yeah.
As a, and
Don't
print
go
out like
printing.
exactly.
That's a good point.
But like
Don't,
the
don't go
Wilton,
printing out copyrighted stuff and trying to
but
sell
the
it.
Wilton, for example, like with the game, if you own the game, you can print out the manual, the instructions. The same thing with the Wilton cake pans; they come with instructions. If it doesn't come with the insert, you can go onto Wilton's website and print them out too. So it's the same kind of thing. If you own the item, you can sell it with the item, but you can't sell it as a separate entity.
Right. And what I love is this right here. I'm going to highlight it on the screen. Oh, maybe not. There we go. Incomplete. And, you can sell broken, trash, incomplete things, but you got to put it on Front Street, just like Randy did. As soon as I get feedback on an item I just sold that was trashed, that I got $50 for, if they're happy, because I was very upfront. This is destroyed, but rare, and I got $50. So if I get good feedback, I will share that. Even if I don't, I'll share it. But you got to put it on Front Street.
Yes, you do not want to hide that.
You do not want to bury it in the bottom of your description. That's for damn sure.
That will backfire, yes.
Well, and you see the item condition comments as well. It's telling you exactly what's missing.
Good use of it. Excellent. All right, we're going to go from crazy-ass board games to awesome snowsuits.
Okay, so you wanted Canada, you got Canada. This is this is one of the most common things that I hear from other Canadian sellers online, both from your group and other groups, and just chatting in general, is that we all hoard these loud, bright, neon onesie ski suits from the 80s and 90s. So some of them sell for $200-$300 if you get like really good brand names. We can usually find them, $5, $10, $20, maybe $30 at the most. And again, it's Canadian dollars versus U.S. dollars. So I think I probably paid about $10 for this. But I've sold several every winter. I even occasionally sell one in the summer. But it's one of those things like certain fashions and certain brands where the louder and brighter and more obnoxious the color scheme is, the better. The better it'll sell and the more money you can get for it. Yeah. So I was getting a little bit concerned in November and December because normally I'd be selling several of those a week by then, and I think I sold maybe one in November. But now with all the stuff that you mentioned earlier, with the New York and Delaware and Washington, all those places getting buried with snow, these things are starting to sell. It's like someone turned on a switch. Yeah. So they're moving again, and jackets and coats and those sort of things are starting to sell again. So those of you who have winter stuff that isn't listed, get it listed before winter ends.
It went pretty much like we had this oddly warm winter where it was kind of spring, and then all of a sudden it was like snowmageddon.
Exactly.
Snowmageddon.
Yes, we had this huge. Philadelphia got dumped with 30 inches of snow just in a 2-day period. So it was crazy.
So I think I got $70 or $80 for this one. I've sold them as high as I think $175 was probably the highest one. But some of them do go, like if you find ones that are like racing suits in wild colors, those can go for $200 or $300 if they're the right brand and good condition. And I still have a few more that are listed that I'll hopefully sell in the next month or two. But it's a very. This is sort of our compensation for not being able to find tiki mugs and Hawaiian shirts. Is that you get really cool stuff in wintertime that you guys can't find as easily. I sold I didn't give Jay a picture, but I sold a set of neon 1980s goggles. I think it was yesterday or today, and I sold them. I believe it was $60 or $70 shipped. And I probably, again, Goodwill, I probably paid 50 cents or something for them. They had, interchangeable frames in the case and all that kind of good stuff, but not something you would probably find in Nevada or Florida or Texas. You got to go somewhere cold.
All right, and then, of course, because we always ask our guests to share with us a dud, here is your dud.
Yes. Oh, this thing. So I've probably had this most of the time I've had an eBay store. It's got to be at least 2 years old, if not longer.
We all have those items,
when I first started, how I first started learning to sell on eBay basically was I'd been going to a thrift store for about a year or so, and I was looking for some ideas online, some inspiration of basically a side business, and I just went on YouTube and started searching, and I found a lot of people like you guys who are making videos about reselling things on eBay and Amazon, and Etsy wasn't that big, I guess, yet at the time, but selling all these things online. And one of the things that almost everybody was talking about was golf shirts. Like I go into a thrift store, I pay $1 for a golf shirt, and I sell it for $15 or $20 or whatever it is. And I was starting to learn, which brands were popular and expensive and high-end brands and that sort of thing as well. So Dunhill seemed to be, it was kind of listed up there in some places with like Burberry or Hugo Boss or those kind of mid to high-end range brands. So I bought some Dunhill stuff, and Dunhill is one of those things. It's like Burberry and Dunhill. There's a few of those brands where when you go to list it on eBay, they give you that warning, like make sure this is real and not a knockoff, or gonna pull it down and slap your wrist and that sort of thing. So I assume that that meant there was some demand for it and people were buying these things. But I've probably sold maybe 3 or 4 Dunhill things the past couple of years, but they've taken forever to sell. And golf shirts in general, I sell a few every spring, but they don't seem to be fast movers. And this one I finally sold, well, it says January 22nd, so that's 5 days ago, I guess. So I did finally sell it this week in the middle of winter to someone, I think, in California. So someone appreciated it finally and got it. Yeah. I think this was actually didn't go for that full price either. It went for something like $28 shipped. So again, with $15 shipping, I'm probably making I don't know, maybe I'm making $10 on it or something. But I'm happy to just get it out of the pile.
Yeah, that's always the key to does.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's gone. Thank goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're happy to see it go.
So I do have another dud that kind of relates back to one of the ones that Jay mentioned. I didn't have a picture of it, but I do have a prop here. So one of your earliest shows, props. Are props allowed? One of your earliest shows you mentioned Kings of Leon. You remember the Kings of Leon shirt? Yes. It was like neon, and you said that the Kings of Leon have had their day, and it's too late. I'm never going to sell this kind of thing. So you bought one Kings of Leon shirt. I bought 200 of them.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I had already bought them when that show came on. So I got one of them here. Oh, is it upside down? It's upside down.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. So that's one of how many now?
Cool. It's funky. It's Kings of Leon. Oop. It's lady shirts. I had small, medium, and large.
Oh, and it's even lady shirts. That's even tougher. Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
All right, Canadian ladies, if you need a Kings of Leon shirt, we know where you can get to.
Well, I actually redonated about half of them, or probably the majority of them, to that Value Village and got some of those stamp cards to use to buy board games and stuff. So I still have a handful in case. I did sell one. I sell them actually by the pair. I sell 2 of them for $30 at a time. They still don't sell. So I still have the remainder on the website, but I maybe sell 1 or 2 pairs of them a year or something. I put one on auction starting at 99 cents plus the shipping charge. I think I put $12 or $15 or something at the time, and I sold one. I think it went for $2 plus shipping.
Well, it's good that you get some stamps or credits back from your thrift store for donations. Unfortunately, here in Philadelphia, we get nothing but good karma back for our donations. So, I mean.
Oh, right. Yes, I remember you mentioning a few times in the shows that.
So many people seem to get some kind of an extra, something for their donations. I just donate and just. Yeah.
We need to start a campaign to get Savers to open a Philly location for Nadine.
I know, I would love a Savers, yes.
They are great. My favorite. So, yeah, those are my scores and duds from the Great White North.
Alrighty, and you got something else for us there?
Right. Yes, I did have one more idea of something that I wanted to talk about. Tip. There's a graphic there.
Yes. So we have one time. I'm like,
wait. I'll lead you in again.
Let's just do this again. Yeah. So let's just start it that didn't have. Okay. So we have a bonus tip of the week brought to you by our guest, Randy Tyrell.
That was the first time we decided to try that, and we'll get better by next week, I promise. But Randy had a tip that he wanted to share, and I loved it. And so we're going to kind of make our guest give us a good tip to finish the segment,
Okay.
Let's show something that's specific to them that they've found out that works well. So here is Randy's bonus tip. Randy, the floor is yours, sir.
So photography, always, the big question. Jay gave a great tip earlier about, angles and that sort of thing about how to make your stuff look good or stand out in a crowd to sell it. One of the things I've done with jackets, just to make it look more casual and look like somebody's actually wearing it, is I started stuffing the hands in the pockets. And it's a tiny little thing, but if you look at 99.9% of the coats and jacket listings, they just have the arms hanging, which is fine. That's how you'd see it in the store. But if you put the hands in the pocket, it looks more like somebody's wearing it to me. And as soon as I started doing this, it's not exactly scientific, but it seemed like more jackets were selling.
And then you had another example of yours and one that didn't do it. So,
right.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so actually, both of these are mine, but this is when I first started doing it. I got both of these. These are padded motorcycle jackets that I got from the that same Goodwill outlet, and I got two of them. And one I did, so I guess sort of a little experiment. I did one with the hands in the pockets and one without. So this is the one where the hands are just loose and normal, and then the one with the hands in the pockets. So the one with the hands in the pockets sold first and for more money. So to me, that's my validation of my my hypothesis.
It looks great, and everyone in the chat is loving it too. So
yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
feel free to steal that, and I'll come up with something else to make my jacket.
That's a really good tip. I would have never thought of that. So.
Yeah, I think it's good to just sort of play with things sometimes. Jay mentioned earlier, sometimes, we all have slow months. I've had slow months. December was actually fairly slow for me once it got close to the holidays, but January's probably going to be my best month so far. But when I have slow months, some of the things I'll do is just go in and play with the pictures. I'll put them in a different order, so a different one is first, or I'll zoom in a little more, or I'll brighten them up or darken them up to intensify the color, or just kind of play around with them a little bit and see if that makes a difference. And sometimes you'll just catch someone's eye. You're like,
I think your pictures look fantastic. I know. I just saw Jay's sunglasses. That's why I just kind of.
Well, we're wrapping it up. I'm like, I'm going to throw those out there one more time because I love them and has been really sunny enough to wear.
Awesome.
Thanks for the leopard print tip. I actually just bought these recently, so hopefully they'll sell now.
Yeah, leopard print never goes out of style, but it is also coming back in big time this fall. So on the runways. So.
Beautiful. Well, another stellar show, and it was kind of a little bit of a narrow focus, even though Randy shared great tips and tricks. But I know we have a lot of Canadian viewers. Thrift Hunters was big in Canada, so I really wanted to do a Canadian.
They still show it.
Canadian show because I met people who want to sell, want to figure out how to do it better in Canada because of the shipping issue. And I think we really touched on that tonight, so I love that. So I want to thank Randy for being our guest. And
thanks, guys.
If wonders never cease, I already have our guest lined up for next week. Yay! So I can announce it right here. So tune in next week. We will have an in-studio guest. We have not had one in quite a while. Next week will be Will Seipel from WorthPoint, and we'll be talking WorthPoint, how to use WorthPoint, how to use WorthPoint to make your business better. And I'm sure we'll have some giveaways next week and some goodies. And so will be sitting right here next week, and as usual, have all our thrifting tips. I didn't get a nap today, and that's why I think I was off.
That's exactly what I thought.
I'm never this off, and I was really off today. So I apologize to everyone that I was a little off today. So
let me just say, Jay takes his nap like pretty much on schedule every afternoon. I said to him, I texted him before. I was like, "Did you get your nap today?" And he said, "No."
Too busy.
I just texted him before. I said, well, I think that's a problem, and apparently it was. So.
So
it was still a great show, though. We did.
But before next week, and we have not figured out the time yet, I have a great haul to share. So Nate and I will be doing a haul probably this weekend sometime. You'll see some of the normal stuff that I buy, but I went outside my norm and bought one thing for sure that you're going to be like, what? But a quick research shows it's good money, and the price was cheap. So I can't wait to show our haul this weekend. And I'm actually got an idea. I'm looking for someone to hop in. So hit us up on our fan page, Thrifty Business with Jay and Nay. I'm looking for not a full haul from a guest, but if you've bought a few things lately you want to show off, I want to add a third person. So Nay has not had a chance to thrift lately because of obviously her health and weather. But I want to show my stuff, and I want to bring somebody else in. So if you've got a few things that you can show, hit us up. We'll figure it out. But look for us sometime this weekend. We'll figure it out. We'll let you know as soon as we figured it out. And that's it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. Thank you, Randy, for bringing the Canadian point of view, and another great guest. I got to tell you, if you're a future guest, you better bring it, because we have not had a dud yet.
Yes, we've had some wonderful guests. So thank you, Randy. You were excellent. Thanks for representing Canada and our Canadian sellers.
Thanks, guys. It was a lot of fun. Happy to do it anytime.
Thanks, buddy. You'll be our Canadian correspondent. So if we have to talk about Canada, we will look to you, brother.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Good night.